caught a few species of bream and then caught some chesa as well. So now we're on the road, we're heading to Bulawayo, and then from there out to Benga and then to Maabwe Bay. The first toll gate we went through, you've got to pay in foreign currency, so either dollars or pula or rands. So we paid in rands. So when we got to the first police roadblock, the policewoman looked at the TIP. When I handed it to her, she asked whether I handed it to her, and she kind of started reading a name which was weird, unfamiliar to me, and then she handed it back to me and said, you know, wave this on, go on your way. And I thought, okay, she's probably reading the wrong part of the TIP. We've just been to the second roadblock. Policeman takes the TIP, looks at it, was a bit like weird, but then gave it back to us and waved us on. So my significant other now checked the TIP, and it has the wrong details. It has the wrong name, it has the wrong vehicle description, it has her signature, so it is the one that we signed for at customs at Beitbridge border post. That's a bit disturbing. It's actually a bit stressful right now, because we are now driving this car in Zimbabwe, South African car, and the temporary import permit has the wrong details on it. We can't drive back to Beitbridge now because we've got to make it to our destination while we're still within the COVID restrictions, lockdown, curfew period. We've been through 2 roadblocks successfully, so we're pretty much going to keep on. I mean, if we go back to the border post now, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, we may end up now sitting at the border post arguing this whole thing through, and who knows what's going to happen. So it's kind of a rookie era. We should look at all the details every time with these admin processes at the border post, etc. So everything else we've got is correct. Our passports are stamped correctly, everything else is correct except the TIP. And I don't know what that's going to lead to, but at this point we are winging it, and we're just going to continue.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you? Good, thanks.
How is the journey?
It's very hot so far.
Very hot.
It's very hot.
But at least you've got aircon. What about us here?
Yeah.
You've got natural aircon here.
Okay, same journey.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
Cheers.
Driving on the way from Beitbridge to Bulawayo so far, portions of the road are pretty good. And then there are portions like this portion in front of us now where the road's in really bad shape. There are potholes right across the road. You've got to slow down quite significantly, and the road's in really bad shape. There are some worse South African roads, to be honest. So far, a lot of the road's good, but they are, where it's bad, it's pretty bad. Absolutely nobody at the border post spoke about a 10-day quarantine and PCR tests and all the rest of it. There were no PCR tests. They accepted our PCR test results as we got from South Africa. There's no mention of a quarantine and all the stuff that is online that the relevant officials are saying and the statutory instrument is saying. By all accounts, we could have just proceeded with our original journey. But of course, we are driving to Maabwe Bay because we're allowed to quarantine there for 10 days. And that's arrangements been made, and they've gone through quite a bit of effort to make that happen for us as well. So we're gonna go through with that. Yeah, that's what it is. Fuel in Zimbabwe can be a serious issue. For a couple of years now, it's been relatively good. There haven't been major shortages of fuel, although a few years ago there were absolutely massive queues for fuel and you couldn't get fuel. When we came through the border post, we thought we would be fine. The latest information we had was that fuel is available, no issues. And as soon as we got through the border post, we got a message saying from a family of mine that's in Harare saying there's a fuel shortage, so fill up wherever you can. So we filled up in Beitbridge. Now, normally fuel is cheaper everywhere outside of South Africa. It's always cheaper. And in Zimbabwe, it used to be about $1 a litre the last time I drove through here, which is significantly cheaper than South Africa. Today, we had to pay $1.43 for a litre of diesel. So hooray! Easy going so far. Our initial plan was to go through to Maabwe National Park, just outside of Bulawayo, but because of the quarantine situation, that has had to change, and change quite suddenly. So we're going to spend that quarantine time at Maabwe Bay, and then continue our adventure from there with a bit of a change in the order of places that we're going to visit and for how long. We do still hope to see Maabwe National Park, so we'll have to see how it goes, time-wise and all the rest of it. It's now 10:30 p.m. and it's been quite a drive to get here from Beitbridge via Bulawayo. It's been quite an adventure driving, and in some instances a little bit hairy. But we finally made it to the Maabwe Bay turn off, and we're now on the dirt road driving towards Maabwe Bay itself. It's been quite a tiring day, lots of driving, a bit of drama at the border of course, a little bit dehydrated as well, but you know, glad that we're finally sort of at our destination. That does feel quite rewarding as well, quite happy about that. Almost there. Okay, so we've just arrived. It's extremely hot, absolutely still. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's probably a humid, I don't know, 28, maybe 30 degrees Celsius. Got the roof tent up, and that should be enough for us to get a night's sleep. It's dark as we've arrived here. It's about 11:30 at night when we arrived, and so we're gonna, you know, scope it out in the morning. We can't really see much at this time. Fortunately, they've left the lights on for us so that we could figure out where the campsite is exactly. So we've managed to find that. It was relatively easy. There's a gazebo, and that was kind of the landmark that we were supposed to look for, with the lights on as well. So yeah, it's been a long day, long drive, and we are finally here.
Hey. Is it hot? What time is it?
About 7.
After a fairly rough day of driving yesterday, we're off to a pretty rough start now of fishing. It's in the upper 30s today. It's quite hot and quite humid. When we arrived here at about 11:30 at night, it was estimated to be 32 degrees Celsius, which you can imagine was extremely hot and very still. It is crazy hot. This is a different hot to what we're used to. A lot of South Africa that is hot and arid and semi-arid is actually not that hot, even though it's the same temperature, because there's very low humidity. That's not the case here. So my significant other, who loves the heat, is melting away, and yeah, it's pretty hectic. Basically, we've got to keep hydrating. That means drinking a lot all the time, every day, and we're trying to stay ahead of that dehydration curve, or stay on the hydration curve. It's a lot of work.
You're supposed to be hydrating.
I am. So quarantine has consisted of lots of fishing, lots of bird watching, lots of hydrating, and generally it's pretty cool. It's very much like we're on holiday. So we're very fortunate to be in this position where we can quarantine on a campsite on the side of the lake. And we are observing the protocols and taking the necessary precautions and abiding by the requirements. But it's fantastic, man. We've caught tons and tons of fish. I've been tiger fishing, I've been bream fishing. Haven't caught any barbel or vundu yet. In the night, amazingly, there are Cornish jack and bottlenose as well. So this is an amazing experience. Never had the opportunity to fish for Cornish jack or bottlenose. One of the great things about staying here at Maabwe Bay is that you can get up in the morning, go catch some really nice bream, have that for your lunch, go back in the afternoon, catch some really nice bream, come back, obviously clean the fish, fillet it, and have that for your dinner as well. The downside, of course, is that you've got to clean it and fillet it, which you can have done as well, but I prefer to do that myself. I've been doing it for many years, since I was yay high, and I had to do it for my dad's fish or after my dad's fishing. Yeah, it's all part of the experience. So the TIP's been quite a burden, quite a worry over the last few days, and magically our hosts have managed, with communication with the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority, to trace all of this and actually get us a copy of the correct TIP. And I have to say, I'm absolutely amazed at the effort that they've gone through. They've gone way beyond the extra mile to help us, and we finally got this TIP in our hands, and It's amazing. I felt like our holiday started as soon as we got here, but I really feel like our holiday's on. The time's going by fairly quickly because we're doing a lot of fishing and there's a lot to see on the site as well. So you can walk around, there's a plethora of birds, really fantastic bird watching. We've seen a lot of species that we haven't seen before. We've seen some really cool insects and reptiles and stuff as well. This is a wilderness area to a large extent, so it is pretty wild. So that's been a really nice part of quarantining, COVID quarantining and struggling in this hot and beautiful part of Africa. Today's our last at Maabwe Bay. It's been a really great stay. It's now day 9 of our trip. Tomorrow we are heading out to Chizarira, which is, we don't know what to expect actually. It's up on the escarpment, beautiful views with gorges down into the Zambezi Valley. So we're looking forward to that. We're hoping to get some diesel at Binga along the way and maybe a couple of basic supplies if we can. That's going to be really important. We don't know what the road's going to be like up there, but what we do know is there are absolutely no facilities up there. There is a campsite or a couple of campsites, but they apparently have been completely abandoned. And so we've got to be 100% self-sufficient. So looking forward to that, looking forward to the challenge, hoping the road's going to be navigable because it has rained quite significantly over the last 2 days. However, caveat, before we can say that we are done with our 10 days of quarantine, we've got to have our last quarantine PCR test, which is tomorrow morning. So the health authorities are going to come to the site and do a rapid antigen test. We are sincerely hoping that that is going to be negative. So yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, roughing it out, quarantining in Africa on the shores of Lake Kariba.
So, this thing is not painful, but it's boring. Okay? Okay.
Hello, how are you?